Play stronger, not faster, resign like a grandmaster. Hello everyone, I'm Fabien again, and this is the 11th episode of my series Resign like a Grandmaster. Resign like a Grandmaster is a series about atomic chess, which is a variant of chess. And this will be my third video about the tournament of Atomic 960. You might ask, well, you're already eliminated. So why would you still do a video about that tournament? Because I think, in my opinion, Atomic 960 is more interesting because it's basically doesn't require theory anymore, and some people like me hate theories because sometimes those series are boring. Like I don't even know some deep 2-9 series. That's terrible. And well, in Atomic 960, even if some positions are objectively worse than the standard position, I mean most of the positions are worse than the standard position for black. But well, nobody knows series, so you can play anything and you can just rely on your middle game and end game techniques, which are good for the underlying atomic chess. Yeah, the actual idea of atomic chess is just its rule and its explosion rules. And um so and you might ask, I know you will ask, why didn't you record your game? Well, when I was playing against catask, I was thinking about recording it, but my computer, it always breaks sometimes, and during the, I think, episode 9, while recording, my computer breaks once, and the program crashes once, so it was broken into 3 parts, which is pretty terrible. So if that happens and my computer becomes not responsive, and that happens during a match, that will be terrible. Although it doesn't matter since I can't beat Katask anyway, but that's annoying. So I didn't record my match, and well, but during that, I found out you can actually draw arrows. Only that if the game is going on, only if you are playing, so then you can draw arrows on chessvariance.training. The main problem of chessvariance.training is that this website doesn't even allow a username search. So you have to find out what the ID number for a player is. For example, if you want to find my profile, Fabien Law's profile, you have to type in something like chessvariance.training slash user slash profile slash 902, and so my ID is 902, and so, and you can see my games. I will talk about firstly about how I lost against Katask, and then I will cover some games for about historics and Corona Talk, since I'm a fan of them, and maybe FFT, since I just know that FFT lost. Terrible. I actually thought FFT can beat Royal Maniac easily, because the Royal Maniac, is a Racing Kings player, and Racing Kings, the starting position is different. So this is basically very different from Atomic Chess. And Royal Maniac also plays Atomic Chess, but well, he's known as a theoretician, and probably FFT can use some tricks, but FFT still lost. Yeah, poor FFT. So firstly, let's look at how I lost, so you can laugh at me. And okay, so let's start with my losses, which are terrible. In this position, I'm playing as white. I opened with d3 because it developed some pieces like this bishop, and knight goes to there. I played h3. Well, Normally knight h3, h6. So probably this is not the best move because maybe knight to f5, but knight to f5 maybe I can defend with something like maybe just bishop comes out and bishop to c3 and you threatening some pieces, and it's not clear who is better. So c5 c5 is an interesting move, and it's slightly weakens the king side, but the queen side, but well, it develops pieces. So I push pawns. Now comes to my favorite part of the game, push all the pawns. Well, pushing all the pawns is interesting, and so, but but you should always notice what your opponent is doing. My opponent just played knight to b6, and what did I do? I played g3 question mark, since it just allows a knight invasion, and well, now the game is just lost. So I shouldn't have played that, but I continued my bad plan of pushing all the pawns. So this is just resignable, but I didn't resign. Why? Resign like Grandmaster. Have you ever seen Carlsen playing Atomic Chess? Has he ever resigned against anyone? No, he come back from completely lost positions several times. So Carlsen is actually not that good. He's just good at tricking his opponents in atomic chess, and atomic chess only. So he's good at doing some tricks and forcing his opponent to resign or flag. So that's why Carlsen is so good in atomic chess, but still not better than some atomic legends like Arca. Arca is also a grandmaster. We'll talk about him later. Is he matched? His match is going on tomorrow. I will probably still cover that tomorrow and make another video, because Arca is something very someone very I like very much, because he's very strong in tactics, and because he's a grandmaster, so that's very easy. So the knight moves in with check, and I can't move the king because of, obviously, let's review the rules of atomic chess. If I move the king, what will happen? Well, if I move the king to either of c2, d2, e2, black will just play knight takes on d3, and the pawn gets exploded, and my king is next to it, so my king will be exploded. So I have to take the knight with the queen, unless I want to get mated, which I'm sure I was doing that because I want to get mated. Yeah. So then, otherwise, why did I play g3? So like that, I developed my pieces, but sadly I don't have any pieces left. So that's very terrible, and yeah, it's just mate. So that's game one. Game two, I played as white. Played as black. Game one, I played as white. Yeah, the game two, I played as black. And in this position, white opened with the knight, so I'm just, yeah, normal third rank defense. Third rank defense is very effective, and in this position, you can't try other defenses, otherwise, the knight just invades. So in some positions, because it's chess is 960 position, so there might be some other defenses, like sometimes when a bishop is on d8, then you can play something like e5, and the bishop is covering that g5 square. But in this position, only move. After that, in normal atomic chess, it will be good to play something like knight to h6, but not here. Here, the king is on d8 instead of e8, so knight to b5 is very threatening. So I try to defend with bishop out. Why? I was actually hoping for the natural move, g4, because then, and that's what happened. Because then the knight to f5 is no longer a threat, so I just defend against knight to b5. So maybe although g4 looks natural since it's developed bishop, and well, threatens the bishop and something else. It makes my bishop control indirectly control the f5 square due to knight f5, bishop takes pawn, exploding the knight. So I can just develop and just defend against knight b5 threat. So white should just probably just f3. After that, I play something like normal developing moves. This threatens, of course, winning the knight. So that. Why? Yeah, this is obviously a blunder, but why did I make that blunder? Because I was not, I was caught, non. Actually, I saw the c1, c8 rook is the bishop. I made that mistake quite a few times. Like sometimes because it's non, this is 960, and normally that would be correct. The piece on c8 should be a bishop, but now it's a rook, so I want to develop bishop, of course, but this is a rook, so you can't develop the bishop. And why just invade with the bishop and sadly I lose a queen because I lose a queen, and this knight has nowhere to go. This queen has nowhere to go, so the queen's lost. I just try to counterattack, but that counterattack is nothing you can block, or you can just block with the knight. Yeah, that's what happened. After blocking with the knight, I even have to take it because otherwise knight takes g7, and yeah, that position is worse than resigning. So after bishop takes knight, my queen's lost, so very sad. And why did white play that move? Because white is up material and just simplify the position, that will be okay. So now white is up like a rook and a piece and a pawn. That's not much, but this is enough for a win. White has a rook on the h file, so I have to defend. Otherwise, just to push the h pawn and white will win. And normally I will just, yeah, that's when two rooks are on an open file. That's a normal move, but it doesn't matter here because it does gain a move, but the gain move does nothing. So normally you don't take the rook if the two rooks are on an open file. You force your opponent to take the rook. So here is even not forced because I don't have a threat, but he took it anyway because why not? And just trade pieces. If I avoid the trade, then the rook invades, so don't avoid the trade. And after some random legal moves, I am just down many pieces, and I'm trying to get mated spectacularly, and I did that. The rook and the bishop can force mate, but for easier mate, I try to play something like just for easier mate, I can queen the pawn. I run the king away and for some beautiful mates, and I run the king towards the center. I mean towards the corner, and if it's racing kings, then I won. And after some checks and that, I got mated very beautifully. So if you are going to get mated, don't get mated very boring like two queens mate. That's too boring. You should get mated like that. But that's just kidding. So that's very beautiful, and catask, is a crazy house player, and so he knows his mates. Third game, I'm playing as white, and after some moves like that, this develops the bishop and trying to that, so knight blocks. Why did I take that knight? Because otherwise I don't want to play b3 because it weakens this diagonal, but I still have to play b3 anyway, so probably b3 is better. So I took the knight, and after that I still have to play b3 since the queen will come out and force checkmate, something like that. Or I can play knight to b3, so it's the same. But if knight to b3, then probably queen to b5. But well, probably the same. So b3 and black develops in the center. This is what we call moving the queen out too early, because even in atomic chess, don't move the queen out too early unless it's forced mate or for forced winning material. This is not neither forced mate nor winning material, so it's just wasting a move. So queen out, and I develop the knights, but the knights gets blocked by all these pawns, and I can't make any more threats, so I play knight back. But unfortunately, this blocks the queen's escape route, so my queen unfortunately gets trapped. Now my queen has nowhere to go, and the next moves will be just g5, winning the queen. So I try to get there, but trying is the first step of failure. Black just develop the bishop and attacking my queen. My queen have access to move again, and after that, the queen's just lost because after that's the only safe square. Black will just play g5, trapping the queen, and my queen is now lost, so I have to take the bishop. After that, I'm obviously lost, and the queen threatens mate, so I defend against that mate. And after just takes, because the rook is on an open file, and black is up material, so why not? My castle. How to castle in Atomic 960? Well, the same as castling in Chess 960. I believe I explained that in the last video, but I explain it again. Whenever you castle queenside, you castle with the rook closer to the a file. So your king will end up on c1, and your rook will end up on d1. And if you castle on the king side, then you castle with the h rook or some g rook, f rook, same thing. Then your king ends up on g1 and your rook ends up on f1. Whenever your whatever your position is, the two rooks has to be one on either side of the king. So you can always castle in two directions, and of course you can't castle through check, and you can't castle out of check, and the same rules applies. And your rook can of course move through check, and of course your rook in some position your king sometimes doesn't even move when after castling, and sometimes your rook doesn't even move. That's all. They are all possible. And sometimes both the king and the rook moves in the same direction. So here after castles, my rook ends up on d1, and after rook there, I have to block with the rook, otherwise the rook invades and it resigns. After just takes, that doesn't even play rook to g2 because taking is just simplify. And now I'm only down down quite some pieces. But I didn't resign because I'm hoping for some yeah, but those windows doesn't happen because it's a very clear win for black. For the fourth game, I think I lasted quite for some moves, and at least I didn't lose in 3 moves. That's better. The opening, of course, this develops. It's no more dangerous to push your pawn 2 squares for the first move, but here it's okay since the knights are here, and probably it's okay. Well, why did I play knight here? Because develops a knight and hoping for some hoping for c3 blocking the white queen, but why didn't play c3? Instead, white defends b4 with the knight, and if I take the d4 pawn, white will just comes in with the queen and the queen a5 and made next move since the e5 square is no longer covered, so queen a5 to e5. I'm thinking about if queen a5, I can play knight to b6. At that time, I'm thinking about that. But however, I still see that you don't go queen d5, you go queen to e5, and then it's just mate. So although d5 can be covered, e5 can't be covered by knight to b6. So it's still not good to take the pawn. So I just trade the knights because I don't see another move. Otherwise, the white knight invades, and I still can't take it. So this is forcing the knight trade, since otherwise the knight invasion. So I forced the knight trade. I developed since, well, now queen to e5 is no longer possible, and if he plays queen to a5, I can defend with the knight and covering that d5 square. Well, that's what happened, but I didn't notice that after that I lost material again, and this is just lost again because, well, I have to defend against the direct threats. So after that, I lost a pawn and two bishops, and I hopped in with the knight, with some compensation, but there are not really compensation. I can win material, but white is still up material after winning material. And well, I can go the other way, but after going the other way, I don't even win material after g3, so I have to go that way. That wins material, so why not? And after the two bishops are very strong in atomic chess, and sometimes even you can use two bishops near your opponent's king and just resign. I'm trying to since I have more rooks, so I try to open up the position. I just push all the pawns, trying to get a draw, because this is probably not a good move. I should probably just go king to e8, because in the game, as you can see, my king gets trapped there. So it's a bad move. And well, why did I make that move? Because I think sometimes rook to e8 will be necessary, but it's not necessary, and so that's bad. After that, the rook blocks the pawn. The point is, if the king somehow moves out of the way, the rook can move. If it threatens direct mate, and that's what happened. I tried to. This rook is probably trapped here, so I have to develop that a8 rook somehow and try to get something. I open up the position, which is very dangerous. I try to invade with the a8 rook, which is not possible since the pawns are there and I can't invade with the rook. Well, I can play rook to a3, but you don't even need to take. And rook takes pawn is a win, I think, because if rook a3, rook takes pawn, then the pawns are not symmetrical, so you have one more bishop, and whenever you get into a zugzwang position, you can always move your bishop, and then your opponent has to resign. This is not pawnetized position because the pawns are not symmetrical, so that still wins. But even if rook to a3, then rook to e8, rook to e1 still wins. So whatever I do, just rook e1. I have to queen, otherwise no other moves, so I can't defend. So, and it's just force mate, very unfortunate. So this is another game, and that's that game. And now for the fifth game, I actually won. So some people might say, well, when you offer a draw. Some people, if I can call them people, they always like to draw, like FFT, RKQ, and those people. I believe on Discord they said several times like whenever you're losing, you can offer a draw. Um, if that draw makes your opponent through, yeah, like in a match, if you are about to get adopted, then and some people like RQQ even think I can get adopted in those matches. You can't get adopted in those matches. Well, you can't lose 10 games. You can only at most lose 8 games. So, well, you can lose 10 games, but not 10 games in a row. So, so you can't get adopted. And you don't even need to offer a draw. This game shows, well, this position, let's say firstly say the conclusion is probably just winning for white. And after developing, I push the pawns in the center because that's how I play. And the knight, because this position, well, the knight develops, and I see that this bishop is covering that square. That's crucial b4 square, so I don't need to defend against that. So I went there. Well, in this position, I believe catask actually offered me a draw. Did I take it? I didn't take it because I think this position is pretty good for white, so I didn't take the draw. And it is proven right because this position is probably just winning for white, I think. I was thinking, well, obviously this queen threatens queen to d8 winning material, and queen to b5. If you defend queen to b5, somehow I can play queen to d8. If you defend against queen to d8, somehow I can play queen to b5. And for example, if like the natural move f6, then I go queen to b5, b6, queen to b6, queen to a6, queen takes queen, bishop to a6. Where's the mate? Well, it does threaten mate. It does threaten the mate, and with the rook in the corner. But is it defendable? I think the knight comes out, and because the knight comes out with a tempo, I have to take it with my bishop, and then he can play like c6. So it's probably not mate. So if f6, I go there. The problem is it just blocks the f1 bishop on that diagonal. Well, and maybe just can I play bishop to a6 first? So f6, bishop to a6 first. This forces the pawn capture because otherwise bishop takes queen. So pawn captures, and then queen to b5. Yeah. The problem is that the queen to b5 blocks that bishop. So yeah. So firstly, bishop to a6 takes, then queen to b5 is just mate. Next move, just mate. Not next move. This move is a mate. So you can't play f6. Instead, it firstly forces my bishop to take the knight, and for some possible c6 defense if my bishop invades, and yeah, well, the rook in the corner can get trapped somehow because, well, something like bishop to a6, bishop to b7, those things can happen. So the c pawn is pretty important, and instead of some correct move like, well, how to defend the queen to b5, a6, bishop there, I think black should probably play. Firstly, you should defend against the b5 threats, and then you should defend against what happened in the game. Well, what happened in the game is not a threat in this position, but instead that happens and that happens. I was going to play queen to d8, but I saw that, yeah, here, and you can't defend. Incidentally, you can't defend because well, the pawn and the king are lined up on this diagonal, and if you push the pawn, I just take it. If you play bishop here, I just if you play bishop to d6, blocking this diagonal, I just play pawn takes on d5 and block exploding that bishop. And if you block the pawn again, I take the pawn again. So the problem is pawn takes on d5 is always available, even if you block with the pawn to e5 first. So you can't escape with the king since the king is smarter. So it's just forced mate, and black resigns. So I avoided 0-5, and for the last game, I actually resigned in the last game. That why? Because I don't want to play that end game and just so that sometimes it's okay to resign. Like actually, I got a game, so why not? It's pretty good. Actually, get the game against the catask, and he opens also in the center. Why did I play that move? Because of some because I'm afraid of my own opening, and yeah, in the last game. And this is threatening bishop to a6, winning the queen, and I actually misclicked here. Well, on this website you can't make takebacks and it doesn't matter. So the a6 is a normal obvious move, but I played a5 question mark. So this obviously gives away the exchange by bishop to a6. And giving away exchange is not that bad, but giving away exchange with tempo, that's not good. So but he didn't play that because you can play that wherever you want. So knight there, I defend, of course, and knight there, I defend again. And after some random legal moves, the knight tries to invade, and it did invade, but my bishop can cover both of these squares, so I don't care about those invasions. And after something like takes, I have to defend against the threat of queen to f4, so I play that, and he threatens my bishop. I threaten the knight, of course, otherwise, queen there will be interesting. The point is, if bishop there, then if bishop to there, then I believe it's not. No, bishop there is threatening. It's threatening the queen and mate, so he can't counter threat. Well, is it bishop there, queen? Yeah, bishop there, queen to d1, bishop there, then the bishop can move out. But if I play bishop to c1, then bishop to b2. Is that? Yeah, I should play that. Maybe it's good for black. Probably I'm missing something, but bishop to f4. Yeah, I just missed that move. Terrible. Bishop f4. I think white has some defenses, but that still feels like a good move. So after that, challenging the knight. After that. I defended against the threat, so it's probably still okay for black. But after those moves, and I developed the pieces, but unfortunately, the bishop invades, and unfortunately, all my pieces are pretty trapped here. So I tried to develop the knight, but it obviously loses material. But I don't care since the bishops are very strong. So two bishops here are almost mate, so I can afford to give away the knight. But he didn't even take because he thinks the bishops are more important. He takes with the pawn, and I hops in with the knight with an obvious threat. I didn't. I firstly play that move, avoiding some bishop invasions, and then I hops in with the knight, trying to create some threats since it is very threatening, and if pawn takes, of course, rook to f7. And then queen out is mate. So yeah. But unfortunately, after that move, threatening mate, and white can defend with the rook there, and after the fork, white can take with the rook. So I have one more rook, but my rook is trapped there, so it's not good. And I try to invade with my queen, but I can't invade with my queen, so that's not good. And after I tried to open the rook, but white also has a rook, so now I'm only down not so many pieces, but white pawns are very strong here, and white has one more bishop, and in this position the pawn structure is not symmetrical. If you move the g4 pawn to somewhere like c4, then it might be a draw since it's pawnetized. But here it's not pawnetized since this is a passed pawn, so I resign. Well, what is pawnetized is just a bad bishop against all those, like this light square bishop against all those dark square pawns, but not here because white has one more pawn on the king side. So it's 1-5, and yeah. As you can see, many games are played in many games are already played in the tournament, and let me find the website of. I hope this is showing correctly of the bracket. The bracket is here, and as you can see, many matches have been played here, and this is round one only has one match, and it gets 1-0. It's probably just a forfeit win to Serrancio. I know Serrancio since he is an anti-chess player, and he also joined the anti-chess world championship, but he's going to face Onubens, and that's very unfortunate, and Onubens can probably easily proceed to round 3, which is actually round 2 since the round 1 match didn't get played, so I would still call this round 2, so since that feels better, I got to round 3. Yeah, that's pretty good. Onubens can probably beat Serrancio very easily if Onubens plays at all. It's almost it's Tuesday, and I think this round should be played before like Sunday this week maybe. So Onubens should. Let's check on Eubanks. I mean, he's sometimes retired, so does he actually still log in? Active 3 hours ago, so he actually still logged in, so he will probably play this match, so he will get through. And Mr. Wacko versus Stephanie. I mean, I don't know. Stephanie maybe I believe did she beat Maswis in last tournament. Maybe she's slightly better than Mr. Wacko since I never heard of Mr. Wacko. But none of them can beat Onubens, so Onubens will get to round 4 easily. Astavakra versus Abunik Abi. Abunik Abi lost to 0-5, and this is, I believe, yesterday. And Astavakra is also a strong player. But unfortunately, he's a 16th seed, and those tournament seedings are very bad for the 16th, 15th seeds. That's pretty bad. So, unfortunately, he's going to face Onubens. Actually, Onubens is not even that strong in Atomic 960. I mean, not stronger than Arca, and maybe Vlad beat Onubens once in the first edition of Atomic 960, and Opabinia almost beat Onubens, so Onubens is beatable. And LECW beat Level Rider, very unfortunate for Level Rider. Level Rider is also a Discord player who is very strong, and well, stronger than me maybe. But LECW gets through easily because LECW is a pretty good player. So Asavakura LECW, that will be very close. I don't know. I don't know Asavakura's variant 960 games like strength. So probably AW is slightly better. I don't think so. I don't know about that. But they also can't beat Onubens, but they might get some games from Onubens. Historics versus Make Correct. Historics beat Make Correct. Mistake Correct, not Make Correct. Well, I've heard of someone Make Correct, but it's Mistake Correct. So Historics won, and Maswis beat Diego Serra. They're all 5-0s, and Historics. Actually, I watched Historics match, and I was I will talk about Historics match later, and so Historics versus Maswis, that will be interesting since Maswis is pretty underrated and he can probably try to beat Historics. I think it's possible but I'm still for Historics since I'm Historics fan. And Opabinia versus the Human Paradox. The Human Paradox, I think, is Racing Kings player. So Opabinia is slightly better, so 5-1. And Pudding Burn versus Forest. I think I streamed this one, and I stopped at 4-4, and the tiebreakers ended up in Pudding Burn winning, and so Pudding Burn got through to round 3, and Opabinia versus Pudding Burn. Opabinia can probably beat Pudding Burn since, well, Opabinia is pretty strong, and so a potential Historics versus Opabinia setup, which is very interesting since you all want to see who is better. Yeah, Historics can probably beat Opabinia since his record is better, I think. And can Historics or Opabinia beat Onubens? Well, that's possible since Onubens almost lost to Opabinia last time. And this time, well, Onubens is slightly, well, I don't think he played Atomic as much, so probably Historics can get through. Vlad is one of the favorites to win this tournament, but well, Arca is playing, so feels bad for him, and he plays Pidgersky Yaroslav. I don't know how to read the name because I'm not good at reading names, and also I'm not good at English. Vlad can probably beat him, and so Vlad can go through to round 3. I lead versus Kieran M. It's not scheduled yet. They are both active players, and Kieran M improved very quickly, and Eyelid is an old player, and that will be pretty close. I think Eyelid can still, because if you have more experience, you have more middle game tactics experiences, and you can probably beat him. So, but they both can't beat Vlad, obviously. Nice versus the chess player 21 ended up being 5-0. Chronotalk versus Karagialis actually haven't been played yet. I hope Chronotalk doesn't get forfeited because that could happen. Karagialis, I've heard of him because I think he actually got quite far into that Crazy House World Championship, and because I watched OK's stream, and well, Chronotalk can probably beat Karagialis, but you shouldn't underestimate the strength of Karagialis, and so if Chronotalk gets through, he can beat Nice. Nice is a titled player, so probably it's going to be hard, but it's going to be harder if they're going to face Vlad, so not a good draw for them. T-Paul versus Marina Kosova. I've heard of this one. I believe Marina Kosova is in Historics. Team is called Historics Hideout. It's a Lichess team, and well, he is probably just some friend of Historics, and so but not stronger than T-Paul if T-Paul plays. They're not scheduled, so I don't know if T-Paul plays. Royal Maniac beats Duality GG, i.e. FFT 5-0. I saw this at least something like 5-2. You get 5-0. That's well, Royal Manic beats FFT 5-0. So Royal Manic will play T-Paul. T-Paul is going to is he going to forfeit? I don't know, but 5-0 that's pretty good for Royal Maniac. I actually saw that FFT can get through. So Calm Waters beat Royal Pro Panda. 1-0. That means Real Pro Panda probably forfeits, but the deadline is not. I think the deadline for this round is sometime around Sunday, so probably just Real Pro Panda forfeits directly, like he just say that he forfeits. It's possible because Calm Waters, i.e. Cliff, is very strong, and Real Pro Panda, I've heard of him since he's is he a Racing Kings player? Yes, so he's pretty strong, and but he's not as strong as Cliff, and so Cliff just gets a forfeit win, and Clearcast beat 264 Brock. I watched that match and it was interesting. 264 Brock is just capital 9. It's FM. And Clearcast is a crazy house player and is also pretty good in Atomic. But Cliff can probably beat Clearcast and proceed to face T-Paul or Royal Maniac. That will be interesting. I believe Cliff is pretty strong, so Cliff can probably beat T-Paul or Royal Manic. But if you're going to face Vlad, then I'm still in favor of Vlad. Well, Vlad had the record of 2 wins in a row in this tournament, so why not? So Arca versus Standard Deviation. I previously think Arca can probably get forfeited, but actually Arca scheduled the match, so Arca can get through easily. And actually on Discord, I believe they also think Arca. They also doubt whether Arca can actually play the game, but Arca obviously is going to play in this tournament. Then I feel bad for all other players still in this tournament, since Arca is not only is he the current champion, he's very good at those tactics since he's a grandmaster, so pretty bad. Variant Bunny versus Juan Cruz Arias TDF. Juan Cruz Arias TDF is FM, and I think they already, this is already played. I think this was played yesterday, I believe. I can check the Discord, and Variant Bunny did win 5-2. Yeah, and Variant Bunny so went through to round 3, and he's probably going to face Arca 50, and well, Arca 50 is too strong, so Chais versus Captain Hobbs. Captain Hobbs is a student of Historics, and Chais beat him 5-0. Well, Chais is pretty strong. Atomic Chess Sensei versus Ayush Chess. Ayush Chess got forfeited, so Atomic Chess Sensei went through, and probably Ayush Chess doesn't just said he forfeited or something like that. Otherwise, you don't get forfeited as of now. So Chais versus Atomic Chess Sensei, I believe it's also played yesterday, and Atomic Chess Sensei beat Chais 4.5, 2.5, and so Sensei gets through and probably faces Arca, so not good. And Catask versus Ayush B. well, catask won 5-0. And I versus Nopoe Deserts, I won, and I lost to catask. So catask was the first one to reach round 4. So Lesha versus Kedar S3A. I believe this is Lesha actually asked for some problems in communicating with Kedar, since Kedar doesn't allow direct messages, but I hope the games can be played, since it will make the tournament more interesting. But it's probably that Nisha just gets a forfeit win and going to face TCF, who beat Seth. Seth, I believe, is also a Racing Kings player. Poor Racing Kings players. So Lisha versus TCF Namelec. Lisha is probably stronger. So Lisha is going to face Catask. I like Catask actually, because Catask is good at kind of everything. He's also a FIDE master, I believe. So although he didn't show his title in only chess. So Catask versus Arca. That would be interesting. I think at that point, Arca might be forfeited against Catask. Or Catask can probably beat Arca. Well, let's face the reality, Arca can beat Catask. Okay. So, Fast Tsunami versus RR007. That was scheduled, but RR007 didn't show up, so I don't know if they reschedule or just forfeit win to Fast Tsunami. But anyway, Fast Tsunami can get through. And Legend Destroyer beat 4-Ways Crash, i.e. Crash the Gate. This was streamed by me, and Legend won, so that's pretty good for. So Legend is also a Crazy House player, so Fast Tsunami can probably beat Legend, so Fast Tsunami can get into round 4. And Crepuscular versus Cyber Shredder. Cyber Shredder actually got a game against Crepuscular, so pretty good for Cyber Shredder, although he's also a Racing Kings player, poor Racing Kings players. And have fun reading this versus OK. OK is a Crazy House player, and he's a streamer. I like his streams. And have fun reading this is regular player, and he can probably beat OK and proceed to face Crepuscular. I believe they also face each other in the Atomic Chess League, so that will be some very interesting matches going on. But I doubt they can cause any trouble against Fast Tsunami. So Grand Lapping beat Rex 5-0. Rex is also a Racing Kings player, and poor Rex. So Tornan lost to Luca. So Luca made only only I and Luca made upsets. So not easy to have upsets in those games. And Grand Lapping beat Luca, obviously 4.5 to 0.5, and so Grand Lapping is going to. I believe this is the first round 4 match which is fixed, and Xanify, i.e. Creefair, got a forfeit win against VCA Darren, and because VCA Darren, I believe he didn't respond to messages and was probably just not responsive, and Mihao 006 beat Backhouse Knight. Backhouse Knight is obviously a Backhouse player. Sorry about the noises. And Xanify, i.e. Creefair, beat Mihao 5-2, I believe yesterday, and is going to face Grand Lapping. Good luck. Well, Grand Lapping can probably still win, and going to face Fast Tsunami, which will be an interesting matchup. If I have to choose winner, I have to say if Arca plays all the way to the end, then Arca will win. If Arca forfeits in the middle, then catask or Vlad will win. So, so that's my prediction. And there are a few games not played in round one. I believe they will all result in some forfeit wins, like Vlad can win. This one will still be interesting if I actually plays, and I don't think this is scheduled, and this is not scheduled. I believe Lisha will get a forfeit win, and this is also this will be interesting. So I will probably cover those matches. I will cover Arca's match tomorrow because it's probably educational since Arca's match. Well, so Chrono Talk haven't scheduled his match, so I'm going to check the. As you can see, here is the post. Well, it's tomorrow 7 UTC. 7 UTC. I won't be streaming that since that's pretty. What is 7 UTC? Well, it's okay. It's just 11 p.m. today, so it's going to be okay. Well, so well, Arca will probably beat standard deviation easily, but still standard deviation has a positive probability to come through. So that's better than me. I'm already eliminated from this tournament, so not good. It's actually possible, at least as long as you are not eliminated, it's still possible for you to win this tournament. This tournament is very, very huge, and it attracts many players in, and it's even bigger than the actual AWC. So probably people like those tricky 960 positions more. Finally, let's just see some historic games. Well, to see if he missed any wins or just his. I actually saw that match, and I don't think his opponent had any chances. Well, what was historic's variant training? Let me find it. Yeah, here. So his ID is 720. Let me put that in. Okay, so yeah, I watched these games, and that was very quick since so white is mistake correct, and white opened with the knight, and as you can see, why is that good? Because that defense against all of this knight moves. This knight can play a4, b5, d5, e4, but they are all covered, so that's pretty good. It's covered by the bishop, so just take with the bishop, and this of course threatens the queen evasion. So I assume so c6 defends against the queen evasion, and white throws in a check, but that does nothing. And after escaping with the bishop invades, but it's nothing since the queen just comes out with mate. So you have to see those threats, since, well, you probably say, oh, my opponent just developed a pawn just in the center, but you have to see what was the real threat. The queen just come to b4 with those double threats, so you can't escape with that, so it's just mate. And so the bishop invade is not important, and you should just see those things, and the classic explosion beats check you should keep that in mind. If you saw my book, I'm sure you remember that explosion beat check, and many players still like, and I also still forget that sometimes. In this position, well, white opens with the same opening, but black didn't use the historic defense. It's actually, well, you should use some knowledge, like your opponent, well, played something like d5, and that's pretty good since, well, that's pretty good defense. So you can use the same defense, but instead, after that, the knight just invades there since, well, the knight to c5 is more important threat. Is there any defense like bishop to b6? If bishop to b6, what does white play? White will just probably just go knight to c5, but still a defense. After that, just loses material, and you can't even go something like you can't do anything. If you move this pawn, then knight comes into e6 with force winning material. And well, you can move out the bishop and threaten mate, but you still lose material since both knight takes queen and knight takes g to g7 are threatened. So here, even if you don't play that, then knight takes f7, so you have to play that, and then you lose the queen. So black resigned like a grandmaster, and third game so it was also very quick, I believe. Knight to e3, threatening some obviously just random knight moves, and just normal third rank defense. And after those moves, threatening, of course, knight there, knight jumps in with some mating threats, but black can defend against it with firstly black creates his own threats. So this knight, well, you can play c3 since after c3 bishop can't take c3 since the rook will be opened up. So but after c3 I believe black can play, since the e5 square is already covered by the bishop, so black can cover the a5 square with just b6, and the knight threats are all covered, so that's pretty good. So after c3, instead white went for knight to a5, ignoring the mate threat, so he can mate it, so that's not good. So you should always see the mate threats and just see like c3 you can't take, so or d4 you also can't take, but d4 you still just defend against e5 threat since the bishop already covers the e5 square. So this game is actually, I think it's the longest or pretty long, and after a pretty okay move like threatens those pieces and threatening mate, white opens up the center and tries to play in the center, and similar ideas, well, tries to invade with the knight, but you can't invade with the knight yet. Threatens the queen. Well, obviously, what does that do? Well, somehow if you can get bishop into that diagonal. So white opens the queen, and this diagonal seems pretty weak, but you can't put a bishop there. So you can try to put a bishop there, but then f5 is always possible. So black did try to play bishop to g6, but now bishop to g6 just get taken, so you should take the pawn first. And before that, white just develops and blocking that diagonal. After blocks, white pushes. Here those squares are just well, the knight is firstly threatened, so if you move the knight back, you still get taken. If you move the knight back this way, it still gets taken. So I think I will just play knight to like just don't take the bishop. Take the bishop is dangerous since the queen invades. So not sure what to play. Like yeah, not sure what to play. Like d5, then you can take en passant because how to take en passant in atomic chess? Well, similar to normal en passant capture, you capture on the if you take en passant, you capture on the d6 square. So all pieces not pawns near the d6 square, like this black knight, and nothing else, just this black knight are exploded. So this knight is removed from the board if it takes en passant, and both of these pawns will be removed from the board, of course. So did he take en passant? Did take en passant since it wins a piece, so why not? And after that, black just develops, and white, well, this bishop you can't really take it, and well, white just push the pawn and push all the pawns, and you can't take it since you lose this material. And if you don't take it, if you take the bishop, then just queen invades. Yeah, and then after queen blocks, you can just take d take c, and well, you can play rook takes c3, but if you play rook takes c3, then rook to c8 is main next move. So or just or if you play that, then you don't even need to play queen c8. You just play bishop takes rook on a8. That's mate. So it blocks with the bishop instead, but bishop takes rook is still mate. And before he can play bishop takes rook on a8, black just resigned. So and the final game, white opens with knight to g3. This is another possible defense to the knight moves. Is that just pins the knight to the king. So if you move the knight, then bishop takes h2. So white tries two knights, but unfortunately that doesn't even have a threat. All knight moves, or the moves from the d3 knight are covered. So black just develops, and after the knight hops in, of course, just you can take, and this knight, well, is blocked, and in this position, I believe white just goes for there, for whatever reason, and knight to f6, threatening knight to g4. If you go somewhere with your knight, knight to g4 anyway, since for example knight to f5 doesn't threaten mate, and knight to h5 also doesn't threaten mate, and knight to h5 gets taken anyway, and so h3 just but instead knight to f5 and then knight to g4 is just force mate since you can't escape mate, and this knight doesn't threaten mate here, so you have to see that this knight doesn't threaten mate. So well, if you play something like knight to h6, you can just explosion beats check. So this is and of course white resigns since it's made next move. Well, that's pretty good for historics. He beats mistake correct quite convincingly, 5-0. And Chronotalk, let's find Chronotalk's account. What's Chronotalk's account? I think I can find it in Chronotalk. I find it through Discord chats. Through some forum posts. Let me still find it. Chronotalk 505. I find Chronotalk only has 4 games and they are played last year, so Chronotalk haven't played something yet. And Chronotalk actually lost to LVN. Who was LVN? Don't remember who was LVN. So actually, I believe Chronotalk can beat LVN. Seems a pretty strong player. Oh, let me search a bit on Discord. LVN is highest cliff. Okay, so highest cliff is probably pretty strong, and of course, yeah, just that. This tournament, well, it's very interesting, and I hope if you are watching, my commentary is pretty stupid, but so this is the update on the tournament, and for example, in later rounds, I might cover more games, and this tournament will be very interesting. I'm sure, and like potentially Arca versus catask, that will be interesting, and in those very in these hard times, I hope everyone is doing okay. We can get through this together, and hopefully playing atomic chess you can somehow makes your life happier. And if you are graduating, just I hope everything is fine, and finish your schoolwork. And so good luck for everyone. If you are watching this video, just stay safe and enjoy atomic chess like before. And if you are doing something else, and just doing something else, that's probably better than watching my videos. Okay, so good luck everyone. Goodbye.